Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Tuesday, July 28th, 2015, around 3:14 in the afternoon, Billerica, Massachusetts. Sun's out, very humid day, could get some thunder showers later on. Some news to report: the Kansas City Royals acquired Ben Zobrist from the Oakland A's. The Royals are stocking up with talent, and it probably could make another run at the World Series. And the NFL and Commissioner Roger Goodell upholds Tom Brady's 4-game suspension for the Deflategate, and Brady's going to sue the NFL and Roger Goodell. And that's about it on the news. My second video subject of the day today is about Ron Simmons' WCW World Title reign for 5 months in 1992. Ron Simmons was the first ever African American world champion of WCW. He was the first African American champion of any major wrestling organization in the world. Ron Simmons was in WCW for many years. He was first in Doom with Butch Reed, and they won the WCW World Tag Team Championships for about 8 months in 1990 and 1991. Then after Doom broke up, Ron Simmons was pushed as a mid-carder and the number one contender to Lex Luger's WCW World Title. They had some classic matches at house shows, and they had a 2 out of 3 fall classic at Halloween Havoc 1991, but Lex Luger won that match. And then for the rest of 1991 and early 92, Ron Simmons was stuck in mid-card mediocrity in WCW, but he was still one of the top faces in the company. And around June of 1992, WCW got a new vice president of wrestling operations, Cowboy Bill Watts, and Bill Watts wanted to have an African American world champion for WCW. Many years prior, when he was running Mid-South Wrestling, he had the Junkyard Dog as the North American Heavyweight Champion many times. That was the number one title in Mid-South Wrestling, and Junkyard Dog was African American, so this is not precedent for a wrestling promoter to put an African American world champion in the spotlight. And Ron Simmons won the WCW title on August 2nd, 1992 in Baltimore, Maryland against Big Van Vader. Originally, it was going to be Big Van Vader defending the WCW World title against Sting in a rematch from Great American Bash 1992, but Sting was attacked and kayfabe injured by Jake the Snake Roberts, who was making his WCW debut. And Cowboy Bill Watts comes out and says all the fans in Baltimore, Maryland deserve a world title shot, and they're going to get it. And then Cowboy Bill Watts brings down a lot of wrestlers to come down and face off against Vader. They have a random drawing, and he picks Ron Simmons out of the hat, and then Ron Simmons beats Vader after reversing a power bomb and then slamming him 1, 2, 3. Ron Simmons is the new WCW World Champion, and they have all the faces come down, including Van Hammer and Dustin Rhodes, Tom Zink, Brian Pillman, Barry Windham, and so many others cheering for this. And Ron Simmons had a nearly 5-month reign with the WCW World title, and he was wrestling Vader on house shows and Cactus Jack on house shows, and he was on his first major title defense on a pay-per-view for Ron Simmons for the WCW World title was against the Barbarian at Halloween Havoc 1992. The Barbarian was managed by Cactus Jack. They had a few plans for Ron Simmons to feud with Butch Reed over the WCW World title, because Butch Reed came into the Clash of Champions 20 on September 1992 for the 20th anniversary of like wrestling on TBS, but he left WCW afterwards. Ron Simmons did not defend the WCW World Title at Clash of Champions 20. That was not that great. He was just like in the backstage area and stuff like that, showing and stuff. And the Barbarian put up a great challenge to Ron Simmons, but Ron Simmons beat him for 1, 2, 3 to retain the WCW World Title. Cactus Jack interfered, but that did not help the Barbarian. Barbarian was a low mid-card wrestler at best who came back to WCW early in the year. He and Dick Slater were the last WCW United States champion on record, and I don't know why WCW had Ron Simmons face off against the Barbarian for the world title on a major pay-per-view and stuff like that. I think this signaled probably that Ron Simmons' reign as champion was going to be a flop and stuff. And Ron Simmons continues to feud with the Barbarian and Cactus Jack and Tony Atlas, who came with like Cactus Jack as well. And they had like a preliminary wrestler called like Robbie Rocker with like Ron Simmons and like Cactus Jack and Tony Atlas and the Barbarian attacked them, and they were going to have a major match at the Clash of Champions, the November 1992 one Clash of Champions 21, but like Robbie Rocker doesn't show up, and Ron Simmons announces a new tag team partner, and that tag team partner's Two Cold Scorpio, and they face off against Cactus Jack, Tony Atlas, and the Barbarian. It was like anything rules match. It was a showcase for like Two Cold Scorpio to become like in WCW. Ron Simmons like didn't get the pinfall in that match. It was Two Cold Scorpio. WCW was making a champion look very weak in tag team matches and stuff. On like Clash of Champions, you should be defending the world title and stuff. And then Ron Simmons was set to face off against Ravishing Rick Rude for the WCW World Title at like Starrcade 1992 at the pay-per-view. And a few weeks prior, they were building up that match on WCW Saturday Night. First, they had Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff face off against Ron Simmons in a non-title match. Ravishing Rick Rude attacks Ron Simmons, and the next week when they have a tag team match, Ron Simmons is pinned by Ravishing Rick Rude with the Rude Awakening and stuff. And like a week prior to that, like they had an interview with Ravishing Rick Rude. They showed an X-ray of Rick Rude. With Ron Simmons, that he had a shoulder injury and stuff like that, and the exposing his weakness. I think the plan was Ravishing Rick Rude was going to beat Ron Simmons for the WCW World Title at Starrcade 1992, but the plans changed because Rude had to pull out of that match because he had a legit neck injury and stuff, and Rick Rude got mad about that, and so they had to change it to Dr. Death Steve Williams facing off against Ron Simmons. This match had like no build and stuff, and it was an awful match back and forth, a double count out, but Dr. Death Steve Williams continues to beat Ron Simmons up after the bell. Referee reversed the decision, gives it to Ron Simmons by DQ, retains the WCW World Championship, but that was very weak and stuff to have the champion win by disqualification on a reverse decision, a double count out at the biggest pay-per-view of the year. WCW lost all their faith in Ron Simmons as world champion of holding the world championship. 2 days later, at a house show in Baltimore, Maryland, on December 30th, 1992, Big Van Vader beats Ron Simmons to gain the WCW World Title 5 months after losing it in Baltimore, nearly 5 months. And what did I think of Ron Simmons holding the WCW World Title for 5 months in 1992? It was awful. It was awful. He was not the greatest reigning. He was probably a poor drawing champion. Plus, his opponents were real weak and stuff. Most of the times, he was feuding with mid-carders as best. A world champion should not be defending their like titles against mid-carders on major pay-per-views or like specials and stuff like that. He should be defending against number one contenders and stuff, or major wrestlers and stuff. I think this was like an experiment and stuff. Like Cowboy Bill Watts really wanted maybe to please the African American community of Atlanta and stuff, to have a African American world champion, Ron Simmons. Ron Simmons had like decent mic skills and stuff like that. He had charisma and stuff, but I think the quality of his opponents and stuff, and being not wrestling, having the world title defend on like Clash of Champions and stuff, probably hurt Ron Simmons as WCW World Champion. And his title reign, in my opinion, I give it a D. So it was not the very best and stuff. And after Ron Simmons lost the WCW World title, he was back to mid-card status, never getting another title shot again. It was, pretty sad though to see WCW have a former world champion slip to mid-card and stuff. Eventually he left WCW in 1994, and he eventually became Farouk in WWE. And he's now known for saying the famous quote, "Damn!" And that's about it on that. I will be back for the third and final video blog of the night, which will be about my 2016 nomination on who should win the Kirk Gowdy Memorial Media Award for the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame. Mike Breen, who is the #1 play-by-play announcer for the NBA on ABC and ESPN, and the New York Knicks play-by-play announcer on the MSG Network. Have a good day, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Bye now. Keep calm, and I'm a Julie Button guy, and Molly Rosenblatt at Fox 35 Rockstar.